let's talk about prompts, which are our entry to interacting with powerful LLMs. Prompts often appear in the context of what are called instruction-following LLMs. To explain what these are, let's compare them with foundation models on the left. Foundation models are pre-trained on these very general text generation tasks, like, given the text in blue, predict the next token in the sequence, and the next, and the next, or fill in missing tokens in a sequence. Instruction-following models, on the other hand, are tuned to follow almost arbitrary instructions or prompts, so still very general, but somehow a bit more specific. Some examples might be, give me 3 ideas for cookie flavors. The LLM returns a numbered list. Write a short story about some stuff, and it returns a short story. Now, these are toy examples, of course, but prompt engineering actually gets pretty serious, and we've seen some examples already. In general, prompts can be thought of as inputs or queries to LLMs to elicit responses. Emphasis on elicit because you really are trying to tease out the right behavior from these otherwise black box models. We saw an example with our summarization problem. The T5 model expects a prefix summarize : appended to that article, and we saw this in the code. That's all it expects, but it's enough to tell the model what you want it to do. Now, more generally, these prompts can be natural language sentences or questions, code, combinations of the above, emojis, pretty much any text. They can also include outputs from other LLM queries. That's very powerful because it allows nesting or chaining LLMs, making these complex and dynamic interactions. We'll talk more about that later in the course. We saw a more complicated example with few-shot learning, where a prompt had an instruction, a number of examples to sort of teach the LLM what we wanted, and then the actual query. It gets even more so. LangChain generated this structured output extraction example for me, where it has a number of parts. At the top, a very high-level instruction, answer the user query, you should fit this format, an explanation, an example of how to understand the desired output format, specification of that output schema, and then the final instruction, tell me a joke. Now, this prompt is not a joke, even though it looks ridiculous. This actually works with some models, and it outputs a structured format which can then be fed into downstream data pipelines. This is just a nice example of how powerful these prompts and prompt engineering can be. We're going to get into engineering in the next video.